Hey guys, Michael here again. So I'm actually gonna take a break from engraving. If you've been following me on YouTube, you'll notice I've got a new toy. Been playing with an engraver by X Tool. I need to make a small shelf. I think I can get everything done on the table saw over here. Also, I'm testing out this lapel microphone. So let's see how well this works. So I'm going to make this shelf right here. So it's going to consist of poplar all around, including the shelves, and the back side is going to be a piece of birch plywood. So I have these pieces of poplar here that I'm first going to rip down to 2 inches wide. So let me head onto the table saw and start ripping these down and get to it. All right, so I have my fence set at 2 inches. I have my feather board in place to help me hold that 2 inches all the way down the length of the board and to keep from kicking back at me. Let's make a cut. All right, so I need to cut 2 of these exactly 1 foot long. I'm going to start off by just trimming the edge of this one so I have a nice clean edge on it. I have this marked at 1 foot, and the blade is going to be on that side of the line. All right, so I have my 2 vertical pieces cut at 1 foot. The next thing I'm going to need to do is cut a little rabbet in the end, which is halfway down and across here. So it's not all the way through. It's going to cut a notch in here. That notch is going to allow this piece to rest inside of it right there halfway. So all I have to do is mark where my board is going to be and figure out the half height of this board here and make that cut in there. So I'm just going to mark on here where the 1/8 of an inch is and raise my blade to meet that. And from then on, I need to make sure not to touch the height of the blade until I'm done making my notches to make sure it's the right height all the way across. All right, with my table saw unplugged, I'm going to lower this blade until it meets that height. So what I'm going to do is, since I have it marked here, I'm going to watch it from this side, starting on the outside, start making my cuts until I sneak up on that line and hit it just right. All right, so I can already tell that I need to come up higher because I actually adjusted the height of this blade with the board on this centerpiece and not the actual table. This is a little bit lower than the table. All right, let's try it again. So this is going to sit in there just like this when I glue it all up. And then I'm going to have another piece in the middle that's going to be a dado. So it's just cut a groove through this. This is a rabbet on this side and a dado in the center. So I have to cut 2 dados and 1 more rabbet. And I'll show you what it looks like when I'm finished. So I know there's an easy way to do this, but I'm just doing this on the edge here. This is a 1/4 inch board. So I'm marking my cuts centered where they're going to be and offset 1/8 inch each side, making it 1/4. So keeping that same height, I'm going to make a notch out of here and out of here. Now, to keep from having to repeat my cuts, what I should have done is put these 2 together and made 1 piece. Well, since I've already messed up once, I don't want to mess that up again. So let me go ahead and attach these 2. I'm going to look at this side, so I'm going to leave this side facing me. I'm going to put this side down and tape these 2 together using painter's tape. So that way it acts like 1 board going through the table saw. I'm making sure the edges line up. So that right there is going to act like 1 board. I'm going to go ahead and tape both sides. There we go. So now it's like one board, and I'm going to cut 2 slots in here real quick. Okay, so I have my dados cut all the way through, both pieces. And what I should have done was cut the rabbets at the same time as well. So shame on me, so now I'm having to go back to recut those. But I'm going to go ahead and leave them taped up, that way they stay the same. So I'm not sure if you noticed, but I actually had cut a test piece, which is the same thickness of this piece of poplar. And I used that to test fit as I was making my cuts. So I know this poplar is going to fit in here. That means the shelf is going to fit in there just right. Alright, so all I have to do is now is finish up these rabbets on the end here. I'm not sure if you can see it in the video, but I actually have a couple of pencil lines running down my table saw. What I did was I took a long straight edge, raised the blade up as high as I could, took a long straight edge and butted up against the table saw blade, and drew a pencil line on this side and put the straight edge on that side, drew it this way. That way I know this is about where the table saw is going to cut, to make it a little bit easier to get started with these rabbets. I'll know not to go past that line when I set it in here. Alright, I have my 2 vertical pieces of my shelving unit all finished up. I have a rabbet on the end, dados in the middle, another rabbet on the end. So all I have to do now is cut the 4 pieces that go across the horizontal. So since I cut all the notches the exact same height from the top of the table saw, all 4 pieces are going to be the same length across. Alright, I have all 4 boards cut out. Let me do a dry fit real quick. And the last 2 look just like that. So all I have to do is glue this up while squaring it up, and then I'll put a backer board on there and it will be ready to go. Okay, so before I put all this together, I'm going to go ahead and sand these down. I'm going to be careful not to sand too much on the edges of my horizontal pieces, just because it's going to make this fit a little bit looser. And I just need a light sanding on these anyway. Just take off the splinters and take off this little sticker residue on there. So let me sand them down and we will start the glue up. Alright, so I have my pieces all cut out, ready to go. Before I glue them up, I want to do a dry fit. And with that being said, I need to prepare my band clamp of how I'm actually going to clamp them together. I haven't used this clamp before, so I'm really excited to try it out. In fact, I couldn't even figure out how to use it just a second ago, so I had to pause the filmmaking just to figure out this tool. Gosh, I couldn't imagine doing this for the first time with wet glue on here. I would not be happy. Alright. Surely there's an easier way. I just don't know it yet. Maybe experience will help. Alright, it took me a hot minute to figure this out, but I think I have it. It's pretty loose. So if I'm ready to clamp it, I think what I do is just pull down on here. It looks like that's going to clamp it all together nice and neat. And then I have to square it up with my tape measure. So to release it, I think I just pull. No, I have to loosen the tension and then pull. But I don't want to do too much, because then it'll be hard to put back on. So I'm going to leave it just like that. Put some glue on here, and we'll see what happens. Alright, I have glue on all the pieces. Here we go. Here goes the nerve-wracking part. Put one side together. Put the other side in. Carefully lining it up as I go. Working my way down. Okay, so that's temporarily in place. Okay, so now to put the clamp on. Alright, so doing a dry fit and setting the clamp at the right length definitely helped. I'm trying to lift them up to put them kind of where they need to be in the center. And while holding this corner one, I'm going to start tightening. Alright, it's actually looking really good. With this in place, I need to get my tape measure and check to see if it's square. And to do that, you measure from corner to corner at both diagonals to get the same dimension. Alright, that looks really good. So now I just have to sit and wait for this to dry. And while I wait, I'm going to cut the backer board that's going to go on top on the back side of this. Okay, so I have this all glued up and it's drying right now. I went ahead and put a clamp on the center of it to kind of pull everything together. The Bessie band clamp is actually working really well on the corners. So I'm going to set that off to the side, and I cut the back piece. And this back piece is simply going to be glued on the back, and I'm going to use pin nails just to hold it while the glue dries. But before I do that, I'm not sure if you've seen my previous videos, but I actually got a little engraver by X-Tool. It's called an M1. If you haven't seen those videos, go and check it out. I'll put a link in, well, somewhere around here. And anyway, check out the series. It's a pretty cool little engraver. It's not quite out yet, but it's coming out really soon. But I'm going to take that engraver and actually put our logo just on the back corner, just as a little subtle touch of Monkey Woodworks on the back of this thing. So I'm going to set this up right now and show you what the engraving looks like. All right, so I got the laser fired up. It's really quiet. In fact, it's on right now, and you probably can't hear it. If you can't hear it, it's just a little bitty hum. This board, I'm just going to set it inside here. I'm not going to go too much detail of this engraver. You can check it out by looking at those other previous videos. But let me just put our logo on the back side, and I'll show you when it's finished. All right, so here's what the engraving looks like. Pretty sweet. So there we go, all finished up, ready to go to its new home. And I was able to put our logo on the back for that special touch. Appreciate you watching. See you next time.